the first Ip Man film, from the year 2008. The film begins in the 1930s at Foshan, a prosperous region, known as the center of martial arts. They're seen some kung fu masters, directing their students to practice martial arts. On the other hand, Ip Man's aunt approaches him at the dinner table, telling him, there is a kung fu master who wants to meet him. Turns out, it was Master Liao, who had just opened his kung fu academy at Foshan, and wishes to practice together with Ip Man, because Ip Man is a well-known Wing Chun master. Ip Man refuses the invitation politely. But Liao insists, and asks Ip Man to spar privately, so that if Ip Man loses, no one will know. Ip Man agreed, but he says he wants to finish his lunch with his wife Wing Sing first, and asks Liao to join them on the table. Ip Man's wife cynically stares at Liao's voracious eating manners. He even continues with snacks after the meal, while Ip Man smokes a cigarette after the meal. Soon after, they start to spar. Liao was thrown away after Ip Man hit him several times. At the same time, a teenager who's trying to reach for a stuck kite on Ip Man's yard saw the occurrence. Then Ip Man throws some punches to Liao, until he admits his defeat. Soon after, Liao requests Master Yip not to spill anything about his defeat, and Ip Man agrees. And Liao goes home. Later that day at a restaurant, Yuan, the teenager before, tells his friend that he saw Liao defeated by Master Yip. Soon after, Ip Man arrives at the same restaurant, about to meet his business partner. On the other hand, Liao, who supervises his students, receives his defeat to Master Yip news, and rushes to the restaurant to look for Yuan. Arriving there, Liao immediately scolds Yuan. But then comes Lin, Yuan's older brother, and the restaurant owner to separate them. Refusing to be blamed, Yuan hurries and goes upstairs to Ip Man. He asks Master Yip to defend him. Lin then pulls Yuan over, and tells him not to humiliate anyone in public. Yuan is still mad, but then Lin immediately pulls Yuan's pants down, so that everyone laughs at him, and he goes away in shame. Later comes a cop named Li Jiao, and asks the kung fu hooligans not to make a fuss. He says how outdated kung fu is, and brags about his gun, while pointing it at Ip Man. But immediately, Ip Man blocks the gun's trigger and pushes the gun cylinder off. He left Li Jiao speechless, and admits that kung fu is noisy sometimes, but it doesn't mean they're uncivilized. Then Ip Man decides to treat Li Jiao, and the crowd disperses. At home, Ip Man lends capital to Chuan, his business partner, to open a cotton factory. And he welcomes it. When Ip Man accompanies Chuan out, suddenly comes Lin, who wants to show Master Yip his new technique. Meanwhile, Ip Man's wife is accompanying their son. In the middle of their practice, their son approaches Ip Man, but he ignores him. And his wife glared at it. While watching from outside, the neighbors request Ip Man to repeat his techniques. His wife got angry, and dissipated them away. Then she asks Ip Man to spare more time with their son. One day, there was a group of wanderers led by Jin Shan Zhao, who came to challenge Foshan's kung fu masters. There he challenges the kung fu masters, and wins easily. He feels proud that he and his men celebrated in a food stall. Suddenly, the stall owner told him not to brag yet, before he can defeat Ip Man. Hearing that, he then rushes to find Ip Man. Arriving at his house, Jin immediately challenges Ip Man to a fight, but he rejects him. His wife also snaps at the wanderers group. Then Jin feels dejected by how Ip Man is afraid of his wife. Then Jin tells his wife that he's not gonna kill him. He even told her that he's not gonna use his hand. Feeling insulted, she approves the challenge. Soon after, the cop comes and asks Ip Man to restore Foshan's dignity. And a fierce battle occurred. Blow after blow thrown by Ip Man makes Jin overwhelmed and downed. Then one of Jin's men hands him a sword, and Ip Man fights it off with a feather duster. The fight then ended when the sword fell off Jin's hand. And Ip Man finishes it off by slapping Jin's butt. Then Jin and his men leave through mockery from Foshan's people. Since then, Foshan's people highly respected Ip Man. He sometimes even got free goods at the market, as a thank you form. But the beautiful story has to end by the year 1937, when Japan colonized China. A lot of people starved to death, and it got worse when Japan reached Foshan in 1938. The Japanese troops destroyed a lot of buildings and facilities. Ip Man House was also taken over, and was made a headquarter. Ip Man lives in misery. Even so, His wife is still by his side. One day Yip Man goes to the market to trade his valuables for some rice. There he was called over by Chuan, to his factory that is still allowed to operate, and offered him a position. Considering that Yip Man was the one who lended him the capital for the factory. But he rejects it, saying that he doesn't want to be beholden to him. One day Yip Man cooked some porridge for his ill wife. She was always worried about their food supplies, so he calmed her, by telling her that he's gonna get a job later. He got rejected almost every time. Until he finally joined the coal worker. There he met Lin, the restaurant owner. At break, Yip Man keeps some of his food in his pocket. Seeing this, Lin then offers Master Yip some of his food. There they have some chat. Lin told Master Yip that his brother was never returned. After he pulled his pants down back in the past, he said that he wants to apologize to his brother. When Lin was looking for his tin container, the Japanese army came. With Li Zhao as their translator. The general heard that Foshan citizens are good at kung fu, so he invited them to a tournament against their karateka. If they won, they're gonna be rewarded with rice. They all feel enthusiastic, including Lin, but not Yip Man. Not long after, they arrived at the arena, where Liao had won some rice from a fight. Watching his skill makes Miura, the general, want a fight in the arena as well. He wants to face 3 Foshans at a time, and would reward them with rice, either they win or lose. Then he finally went down the arena, facing 3 Foshans with Lin in them. Miura can drop 3 people in a single blow, and makes them surrender, but not Lin. He stands up and strikes Miura back. But Miura manages to attack Lin and throws him back until he coughs up blood. The next day, while working, Yip Man found a tin container, and kept it in his pocket. At break, again, Li Zhao came to invite the Foshan workers to another tournament. There, Yip Man approaches Li Zhao, and asks about Lin. But he ignores him. It forces Yip Man to come to the arena, in hope to be able to find Lin. At the arena, Yip Man sees waiting Liao, who asks Miura for another 1v3 fight, and Miura grants it. But he lost the fight, surrendered and left the arena. But suddenly, he was shot by Colonel Sato in the head. He says, the loser should not take his reward. Yip Man went mad by that occurrence. So was Miura to his colonel, where he told him it was just a tournament, and there should never be any shot anymore. The tournament continues. Yip Man shouts at Li Zhao, and tells him he wants to fight. He asks Li Zhao if Lin was beaten to death also. But Li Zhao kept his silence, and opened the gate for Yip Man. Yip Man then asks to face off 10 people at once. But Li Zhao forbade it. But he insists. Even though surprised, Miura still grants his request. Soon after, the fight begins. Yip Man beats them one by one mercilessly. It left Miura stunned. After everyone was defeated, Miura asks him to go back with his rice reward. But he rejects it, and takes Liao's bloody rice sack instead, and gives it to Liao's family. There, Li Zhao warns Yip Man to be careful with the Japanese army. But then he slaps Li Zhao, for being a betrayer. Li Zhao got offended. He said he was only a translator, and the death of their people had nothing to do with him. Yip Man then left him. Arriving home, his wife treats his wounds. He is happy, because his wife is still there for him. Later that day, in the middle of the road, seen Jin blocking a truck, and hijacks it. Then they went to the cotton factory to blackmail them. But since they had nothing to offer, Jin then beat Chuan up. Seeing the incident, Chuan's son then came to Master Yip for help. But unfortunately, it was too late. The wanderer is gone already, and said will come back later. And apparently, one of the wanderers is Yuan, brother of the late Lin. Arriving at the factory, Yip Man sees wounded Chuan working. Then Chuan begs Yip Man to teach him Wing Chun, followed by all of his factory workers. Yip Man smiles, and agrees to it. And then he teaches them Wing Chun. A while later, Yip Man, who was playing with his son, was surprised with Li Zhao's appearance. He tells Yip Man that Miura wants to be in a fight against him. Then suddenly, there was also Sato. Stunned by Yip Man's wife's beauty, he approaches her, and wants to take her. Then spontaneously, Yip Man attacks Sato and his men, and makes them unconscious. Li Zhao then asks Yip Man and his family to seclude themselves. Soon after, Li Jiao was beaten up badly by Sato, because Li Jiao let them escape. Miura also says that he is gonna deploy all his troops to find Ip Man. Then Li Jiao went home battered, and met Ip Man, where he thanked Li Jiao for hiding his family. Later, Jin and his men come to the cotton factory. Little did they know, the workers were already prepared for their arrival. And the mass fight occurred. In the middle of the fight, Ip Man came, and helped them out to fight the Wanderer. And the Wanderer launched their second blow with some axes in hand. But Ip Man manages to conquer them. Then Jin steps in with his found garden fork, with Yuan by his side, they try to fight against Ip Man. But Ip Man fantastically beats them up, with bamboo until Jin and his men go away. Ip Man then chases Yuan, to give him his brother's tin container, and tells him about his late brother. He was shocked and cried at the news. At night, Li Jiao hurriedly approaches Ip Man, and tells him to not be anywhere near the cotton factory, because Miura was currently there. At the factory, seen Sato torturing Chuan to find Ip Man. By then, Ip Man suddenly appeared, to turn himself in. Sato then beat him down, until he kneeled. When Sato was about to shoot Ip Man, Miura stopped him, and asked Ip Man to teach the Japanese army kung fu. Ip Man refuses, and challenges Miura for a fight instead. Miura then asks his men to arrest Ip Man. On his way, he shouts to Chuan, telling him to take his family away from Foshan. Later General Miura visits and delivers a meal to Ip Man by himself. Miura requests to showcase their fight to the public, so that everybody can witness how Japan's karate superiority is to China's kung fu. Ip Man doesn't say anything, he just pushes his meal away from him. The next day, Ip Man's wife was seen crying in the car with Chuan, driving away from Foshan. She regrets how she never supported Ip Man in his martial art. Finally the fight is held. They fiercely blow their techniques at each other. In the crowd, apparently Ip Man's family and Chuan went back to the arena, to see Ip Man's fight. Finally Ip Man manages to overpower Miura, corners him, and beats him to his defeat. General Miura is down. Ip Man defeats him. The Foshan people cheered him, full of joy for his victory. But suddenly, a shot was drawn, hitting Ip Man in his chest. Sato shoots him, knocking him off the arena. Right after that, people crowd towards the arena, whilst Li Jiao tries to snatch Sato's gun, and manages to shoot Sato in his neck. His wife and the people surround Ip Man.
Movie ended when Ip Man family fled to Hong Kong with the help of Chuan. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck.